Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Team Talk, our weekly show talking all things Lincoln City. I'm Liam Gibbs and joining me today are BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Rob Makepeace and Mark Whiley from the Lincolnshire Echo. The Imps have faced two difficult away trips in the past week at Swindon and Cheltenham. After winning 1-0 at Swindon on Tuesday, City couldn't back that up with another victory on Saturday, losing by the same scoreline at Cheltenham. Chaps, first of all, thoughts on Swindon?
I thought it was an exceptional performance, one of the best performances and results of the entire season. The Imps were really good. It was a really good game actually, and if it ended 0-0, it would have been a very entertaining 0-0. But set-piece routine with 8 minutes to go, Sean Raggett on the end of it. We saw that so many times last season, and it was, as I say, it was a terrific result and performance, and I'd put it right up there with one of the best so far this season.
What impressed you most about Swindon, Rob?
I think for the Swindon game, it was just that everybody seemed to be on form. Usually, sometimes you can pick a man of the match in games with 2 or 3 contenders, whereas I think in the Swindon game you could have picked 11 players or 14, even the substitutes came on and did really well. And you felt in that game as well, Lincoln under pressure a lot in that game, and it showed how strong the defence and the goalkeeper are, because they stood up to the test. There was a lot of last-ditch challenges, blocking crosses, blocking counter-attacks, and they did that really well.
We'll come on to the strong defence in a minute, but first of all, going forward, the lack of goals is still a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's made no secret of the fact that he wants a new striker. It was proving a bit difficult before the transfer window shut, but I think it's certain we'll see a new striker in January, possibly 2, because the Imps are a bit light up there. Set pieces do look to be the best route to goal at the moment. Some games they're creating chances but not taking them, and in some games they're just not creating that many chances at all. So, but they're just going to have to muddle through. There's a few free agents knocking around out there, but players are free agents for a reason. So I think that problem isn't going to be resolved really until January.
Do you think they'll have to wait until January, Rob, or are there 1 or 2 free agents out?
Well, it's difficult. I know Matty Fryatt was linked and Danny Cowley shrugged off those intentions of trying to bring Matty into the club. We saw on Saturday at near neighbours Scunthorpe, they brought in Simon Church. He was a free agent. He's had injury issues. He came on, he won a penalty, which ended up being the winner for Scunthorpe. So if you can get someone like that who's had a decent career so far, a bit of an impact. I'll go back to Theo Robinson. Theo Robinson last year came in. Nobody expected too much of him, and look at the unbeaten run Lincoln went on with Theo before his move to Southend. If Lincoln can get someone like that, even if it's just till January, just as a stopgap, I think that's the way forward for the Imps.
But how difficult is it to get someone of that calibre?
Well, that's it, and the players we mentioned, Church, Fryatt, they played at a higher level, so it'd be tough for Lincoln to get someone like that in, because you'd think clubs at Championship League 1 level would be looking at them. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they could bring someone like that in, but as Rob said, it would be a short-term measure, because if they come in, do well, they'll probably get picked off to a higher league club, a bit like Theo Robinson did when he went to Southend.
Matt Reid and Ollie Palmer came off the bench on Saturday. It seemed to little effect.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Reid has been a real difficult season for him so far. He's not had the opportunity he's had last season. Ollie Palmer's been in and out of the side. I think I've been quite happy with Ollie Palmer. I think he's done well whenever he's played. He's not done anything wrong. I think Matt Reid's one of those players who needs to play on a regular basis if you're going to get the best out of him. And I just wonder if perhaps reuniting him with Matt Green might be the best way to get the best out of Matt Green, because he has been struggling in front of goal, because they're old mates from their Mansfield days. So, yeah, as I say, goals have been difficult to come by at the moment, but they're defending very well, so they're staying in games. So even if they're not scoring, they're staying in games, and they always look capable of getting one from a set piece.
I think the thing with Danny Cowley is he's not found the right solution. He's still trying to work out what he needs to do up front. We've seen so many different options. We started the season with Reid and Green, we've had Palmer and Green, we had Ginelli play up front when he's come on as sub, we've had Billy not in behind the front man. There's so many different options, and at the moment none of them just seem to be ticking and clicking for the Imps.
Is it just a case of a lack of confidence in front of goal, particularly with Matt Green? We saw with the Cambridge game he missed a couple of gilt-edged chances. Do you just need to find that confidence again?
I think Matt Green's confidence has taken a knock. Earlier on in the season he was missing a few chances, but he was still playing really well. His hold-up play was fantastic. He just missed a few big chances. I mean, the one that sticks out for me is the one at Notts County when it was 0-0. Lincoln with a better team at that stage. Billy Knott then got sent off and they lost 4-1. And it just seems that those missed chances and the lack of goals has affected his confidence a little bit at the moment.
But Danny Cowley's hinted that Harry Anderson could be back, if not tomorrow night, then at least for Saturday's game against Crawley. How big a boost is that?
Huge, absolutely huge. Before he picked up his knock, he's been instrumental in the past couple of games. He's one of those players that as soon as he gets on the ball, he excites you. You think he's going to take on your man. He's got pace to burn. He's got good ability in terms of his crossing, and he's good at finishing as well. You know, he's an all-round player, and he's a player that's going to develop at Lincoln City. He's still really young. You can see him moving on to a bigger and better club in the future.
How far into the future can you see that? How far can he go with Lincoln?
Well, I think the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's got so much potential. He's got a lot of learning to do. I think Danny would like him to improve without the ball. I think that's the case with a few of the young players at the club. But I mean, his potential is fantastic, and he's got the raw tools. He's got pace. He's got strength. He's got an eye for goal as well. He pops up with some crucial goals, as we saw towards the end of last season. So yeah, the sky's the limit. But he's on a 3-year contract, so you know, Lincoln are going to work with him for quite some time, and if he was going to go, another club would have to pay up a sizable fee to get hold of him.
And he's arguably been, or offered, Lincoln's biggest creative spark this season.
Yeah, and that's been another area where the managers, you know, had to swap things around, change things around, try and find the right formula. Josh Ginnelly, Jordan Maguire, Drew, Nathan Arnold, all wingers, and all have been in and out of games. Some of the games have done really well, and that's what you get with wingers, unfortunately. You know, they're sometimes like strikers. They can be one game absolutely magnificent, and the next game you hardly see them. And that's the problem at the moment. I think for Danny, you know, Harry Anderson is your one of your starters in terms of the wing. It's whether you then go with Jordan Maguire, Drew, Josh Ginnelly, or Nathan Arnold on the other flank.
But moving back to the defence, it's highlighted how important Sean Raggett is this week.
Absolutely. I mean, I must say the game he missed against Cambridge, they did defend very well. Luke Waterfall came in and did well. But I mean, you know, Sean Raggett's first name on the team sheet. He pops up with a goal at Swindon. You know, he's just an outstanding defender, isn't he? Whether he stays beyond January remains to be seen. I mean, you know, Norwich had a good result over the weekend, kept a clean sheet, and I think they've been quite tight at the back. So that bodes well for Lincoln, because there's no point in going to Norwich if he isn't going to play. So yeah, he's just a fantastic player, isn't he?
Does Norwich doing well help Lincoln and their hopes for keeping him beyond January?
Definitely. I think a big, a thing we'll see with Sean Raggett is if he gets allowed to play for Lincoln in the FA Cup. If that happens, you then feel, because Norwich will go to the third, obviously go into the third round, and you know, Norwich's aim for the season is promotion to the Premier League again, so they might not play a full strength side in the FA Cup. So if Sean's suddenly allowed to play for Lincoln in the first round, you'd think, well, they're looking long term to keep him at Lincoln. We're not going to bring him back and play in January. And as Mark said, Norwich are doing really well at the moment. They're not conceding many goals. I think he's fourth choice centre half. He would be at the moment. And Norwich might go and buy another centre half in January, you know, to strengthen their push for promotion.
And even without Sean Raggett, as we saw against Cambridge, the defence on the whole is looking very, very solid.
Absolutely. I mean, they were missing Sam Habergam last week, but Sean Long came into the side. Neil Earley went back to left back, and Neil Earley's been one of the players of the season. He's been brilliant, both left back and right back. Absolutely outstanding. What a signing he's turned out to be. And Luke Waterfall, perhaps unlucky to be out of the team, but Rob Dick has done nothing wrong. And when Luke came into the team, he was excellent as well. So yeah, I mean, it's and also Josh Vickers, he's been pretty solid last few weeks as well, after replacing Paul Farman. So yeah, no concerns about the defence at all.
That versatility that Eardley brings, being able to play on either side of the back four, seems to be really crucial. Yeah,
you don't notice if he's playing either side or the other, in the fact that if he's been moved, like at Swindon on Tuesday when he got moved to left back, you didn't notice he'd been moved to left back because he did just as good a job as he does at right back, and that's key for Lincoln, you know, having that, and especially as Sam's, you know, struggled with injuries early on in the season and struggling to get fit at the start of the season with his injury. It's been good for Neil to come in. Sean Long has come in and done magnificently when he's played. It's just for Danny Cowley, you know, do you have that balance of a left footer on one side and a right footer on the other, and bring Sam back into the side, or do you keep with your two players who are performing really well in Sean Long and Neil Eardley?
Do you think there's any difference in terms of the balance of the side when you have a right footer at left back?
I don't think it's, in Eardley's case, you don't really see it, because his left foot's pretty good. It's not like it's his swinger. He's got an excellent left foot, really, considering he's predominantly a right footer. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit more of a natural balance when Sam's playing there, because he is an out and out left back. But as you say, you don't really notice, do you, when Neil's playing at left back?
No, and I think, you know, it just adds sometimes that attacking intent. And Sam Habergan, we know what good delivery he's got with his left foot, and he's great on set pieces as well. He's a player that I don't think you can leave out the side for too long because of what he brings. And I think he's been unlucky. He had a couple of operations over the summer and he's not really recovered in time. Missed all the pre-season, which is never going to help him. And then he's picked up a knock again, which has obviously caused him to miss the last couple of games as well.
Looking to the week ahead now, Checkatrade Trophy tomorrow night. That's a chance for Danny Cowley to blood some of the players who haven't quite had that chance in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he'll move the team around. Obviously, he can't move it around too much because it's quite a small squad, so there's only so many changes he can make. I think we'll see Ellis Chapman, who the youngster who's been on the bench, 16-year-old lad. I think he'll get on the pitch at some point against Everton, and he'll be one of the youngest players in the club's history. I don't think he's quite as young as Jack Hobbs, who I think holds that record. But yeah, it'd be really good to see him. Be interesting to see if maybe Paul Farmer gets one out. I imagine Luke Waterfall will play to give him some game time, but it'll still be fairly close to what would be Danny's first choice side. I
was going to mention Ellis Chapman. Is this the ideal time to blood him and give him first team experience against some people who are not too far ahead of the development?
Yeah, I think so. I know Danny always speaks about what an exciting player he is, and Danny he's not one of those managers who will talk up a youngster if he's not going to cut the mustard. If he's not going to be one of those players who they feel can develop in the future. They brought him back from Leicester in the summer. Lincoln's his club, and I think at the moment for Ellis's development, it's good for him to be at Lincoln City, having a chance possibly in these Checkatrade Trophy games, because yes, they could send him out on loan, but at the moment he's only 16 years old and needs to develop in terms of his physicality, and that won't happen for a couple of years. So there's no point of sending him to a Lincoln United or a Spalding United, where they are very physical leagues, because it probably won't get the best for Ellis. So I think giving him a chance tomorrow, whether that's coming on in for the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, giving him a run out, getting him used to Sincil Bank in terms of playing at Sincil Bank in front of a decent crowd, that'll help him as well.
And sort of going forward, in attack-minded sense, it's a chance for Danny Cowley to find a formula that works.
Yeah, absolutely, and they do need to work on being more creative in the final third. They were fairly creative at Swindon, but not so much at Cheltenham on Saturday. It'd be a chance to just try a few things. It's not just about trying personnel, it's possibly about trying some tactics as well. But I'm not sure how many tactical tweaks he'll make, because I think he wants to win this game and then get through to the next round, and then that last group game against Notts County, it will be academic really, so that would be the game maybe where they do try a few more things. So it will be interesting to see how Danny approaches the game tactically.
The Imps are 10th in League 2, 2 points off the playoffs still. Crawley visit the Bank on Saturday. Is that a game that they really ought to be looking to win?
They should do, but then Crawley got a decent point against Luton on Saturday, who've been scoring goals for fun. So they're going to sit back. I think Crawley won't be coming to Sincil Bank trying to win the game. I think they'll be coming back to try and get a point. Harry Keel's had an interesting start to life at Crawley and life in management after his move from the 23s at Watford. But Lincoln will expect to win all home games, and that's what helped last season. Going towards the league title was their home form, and they've only lost one game in over a year now at Sincil Bank. So if they can keep their good home form, get the 3 points against Crawley, that'll be really important.
Mark, what sort of game are you expecting from Crawley?
Well, as Rob says, I think they might prove difficult to break down for the Imps, and I think other teams may have spotted that they're struggling to cut through teams in the final third, so teams might try and prey on that and take advantage of that. So they might need to be patient, but hopefully a win against Everton tomorrow night will give them a bit of confidence going forward, and I fancy a narrow victory against Crawley.
Well, thanks for joining me, guys. As we've heard, there's plenty to look forward to this week, but that's all for this week's Team Talk. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks to Rob and Mark for joining me. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks' time. Goodbye.